We've received a message from the jury that the jury has reached a verdict in this case. All parties are, and it could be also used as an attempt to try to show some kind of message to the jury. And your bond, sir, is revoked. You will be taken into custody immediately. That is
what you just watched. That was the moment Horatio Trevino's life changed forever. But what led a jury to reach such a swift, unanimous decision in a case this sensitive? This is the state of Texas versus Trevino. On the surface, it's a trial for indecency with a child, but the real story lies in the patterns. Notice how the defendant's story shifts when the timeline is questioned. At stake is a second-degree felony conviction and Trevino's immediate freedom. Why was the gallery so close to an emotional breakdown? As the jury returns, watch for the evidence that turned a complicated case into a unanimous decision. To understand the psychological tells and legal tactics used to catch the truth in cases like this, hit subscribe and join us. Let's head back to the beginning of this high-stakes verdict.
And we now recall cause number 23-41503, the state of Texas versus Horatio Trevino, charged with the second-degree felony of indecency with a child. We've received a message from the jury that the jury has reached a verdict in this case. All parties are present. I ask the bailiff, please bring the jury in, and we will accept the verdict. Thank you. When the verdict is read, please, no responses made by the audience. Thank you. All right, the record shall show that the jury is seated in the courtroom. Ms. Ramos, I understand you are the jury foreperson.
Yes, Your Honor.
And we have received a message from the jury that the jury has reached a verdict in this case. Is that so now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this verdict a unanimous one? That is, one that is agreed upon by all members of the jury?
Yes.
And do any of the jurors disagree with your foreperson's representation? Says it is unanimous? No disagreement. It does indeed appear to be unanimous. I'm going to ask you, please pass the documents to the bailiff. You may be seated, and the court will publish this verdict. Thank you. In cause number 23-41503, the state of Texas versus Horatio Trevino. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of the offense of indecency with a child as charged in the indictment. This is signed by the foreperson. The verdict is received by the court. It is made a part of the record for all purposes. You may be seated. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, at this time, I have received and accepted your verdict finding the defendant guilty of the offense of indecency with a child as charged in this indictment. That brings us to a close of phase one of this bifurcated two-part trial. We are going to now proceed with the punishment phase of the trial. And once again, let me repeat, you are under the same instructions that have been given to you throughout this trial up to this point, please. Let me see the lawyers for a second. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what we're going to do is break for lunch. It's 11:45. I'm going to ask you to return back at 1:15. And again, if you go out to eat, and if you're, remember, don't talk about this case. We're not through with it. We still have this second phase to deal with, the punishment phase of this trial. And if you're with somebody who's a fellow juror, talk about the weather, anything else, but not this case. All right. And we'll see you back at 1:15. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, including the alternates. You're still with us. Thank you. Everyone else remains seated while the jury exits. Okay. The jury has exited. A couple of things. First of all, this is difficult for everybody. I know people in the audience are showing emotion. That's not allowed. If you can't stay composed, you're going to have to exit, please, because the jury picks up on that, and it can only be expected for the court to perceive as a disruption where the jury is losing its focus. It's seeing people who may be upset, and then it could be also used as an attempt to try to show some kind of message to the jury, and we don't want that. Yeah, and it's difficult. I know I've done this for a long time, and emotion is shown, but please keep your composure. If you can't, you're going to have to be asked to leave. Please. Thank you very much. Your bond, sir, is revoked. You will be taken into custody immediately. That is normal and customary when someone is found guilty of a felony offense, and we will see what happens here through this punishment phase. But at this time, your bond is revoked. You will be in custody, and of course, you'll be able to speak with your lawyer. You'll be kept here, and your lawyer will have access to you to discuss further proceedings that we're going to be dealing with in this punishment phase. Is there anything else we need to bring up before we come back? Again, at 1:15, ladies and gentlemen, we'll pick up the punishment phase.
So the verdict came down. Horatio Trevino was found guilty and immediately taken into custody. But here's the question. Based on the timeline presented, was the evidence actually enough beyond a reasonable doubt? Comment below, team prosecution or team defense. If you had to sit on that jury, how would you have voted? Like if you learned something new. And share this with your true crime friends.